Smartwatches are a growing category, and Samsung is looking to hop on the bandwagon with their very first smartwatch. The Galaxy Gear is here, in-house. It's orange, it's lightweight, it has a very beautiful color display. Is this the next smartwatch that you're going to want to buy? Or is that $300 price tag just too steep to make this your next wearable piece of technology? I'm Evan Selleck from PhoneDog.com. This is the Galaxy Gear full video review, which starts right now. So here we have the brand new Galaxy Note 3, and right there next to it, in all of its orange glory, is the Galaxy Gear smartwatch, both from Samsung. And the big question here, is Samsung ready to jump into the smartwatch market? It's a market that hasn't necessarily seen a lot of devices become available for customers, but there are plenty of smartwatches in the works. And it's only going to increase now that Samsung has decided that it's going to jump into the mix. With rumors that companies like Apple, Google, Motorola are all deciding that they are going to launch their own smartwatches, or with rumors suggesting that they are, Samsung's not going to be the only major player in the smartwatch market for very long. Their hope, more than likely, is that with the Galaxy Gear, which, as you can see, is right here with its color display, is going to not only be able to sweep people off their feet, but also keep them within the Samsung party long enough to get a next generation Galaxy Gear watch out on the market. The problem might be with pricing, as well as a battery that's not necessarily all that big. However, there are plenty of benefits if you're going to buy a Galaxy Note 3 smartphone. Now, that is one of the main kickers here, is that as you can see with our Galaxy Note 3 here, if you bring up the device right here in the notification shade, you're going to see that there's a little watch up there, okay? As we bring down the notification shade, you're going to see an ongoing Samsung Galaxy Gear notification. Now, if you touch that, that'll bring you into the Gear Manager. It gives you options for clocks, my apps, Samsung apps, Find My Gear, settings, and help. Now, it'll also tell you whether or not if your Galaxy Gear is connected or not. That app only works with the Galaxy Note 3 right now. Samsung has said that they plan on expanding that functionality, but for right now, if you want a Galaxy Gear smartwatch, the only device that you're going to be able to use is a Galaxy Note 3. So if you want one but not the other, or you want both, that's the only way you're going to be able to really experience the Galaxy Gear. Now, Samsung has said that this device is more or less just an introductory device, and obviously, since it's the first of its kind, that makes sense. The difference is that Samsung is hoping that with this device, they hear plenty of feedback from people who do buy it, from those who use it. So they're hoping that when you put it on and you decide to start using it, you're going to report back to Samsung and say what you want to see, say what kind of features that you want to see and things like that. So just getting into the bare essentials here, we're looking at a color display, which is a touchscreen, so you're able to swipe through certain parts. You'll be able to look at call logs, contacts, the main gist, the ClockWatch app, notifications, S-Voice, voice memo, gallery, media controller, a pedometer, and settings, as well as dig into the apps that are on your phone. So as you can see the archive, camera, dialer, and you can slide to the right, find my device, and everything else that you just like. Today's schedule, you can load up the weather, and you can swipe through, which is a nice bonus. So as you can see here, we have Phoenix, Seattle, and Boston weather, which is all very easy to see and very easy to get to. So if you slide down from the top, you go back. You slide back again, and you get back into the main screen, as well as the clock itself. It's an interesting design to have the smartwatch face, which is essentially the reason why you're going to want to have this device, just be basically another window inside this long list of apps. So basically, here's the watch, and then you slide over and you have your other apps as well as some notifications. So it's not that the watch is a separate part, it's actually just buried inside of it. Fortunately, buried in this case doesn't mean that you can't find it very easily. Now, from this screen, if you want to launch the camera, which is right here, you just slide down from the top and it'll launch the camera. And as you can see, so we'll go ahead and bring up the Note. So let's see if we can get a nice shot of the Note 3 branding. And if you wanted to take a picture, you just touch the screen, it autofocuses and takes the photo. So, and as you can see, it says swipe left to open the gallery. So while you're in the camera app, you just swipe. And if you swipe to the left like you should, you'll get a pretty clear photo. Now, the camera itself isn't great, but it's not bad either. And if you're you're in the camera, you just slide up, you slide from the top of the screen, you're in the camera, and you'll slide down. So again, it's not the best, but it's also not terrible. And for a camera inside of a watch, we shouldn't be expecting a 20 megapixel shooter. So as we dig into here, you'll see within the settings, you can be able to change your clock face, clock type, which is the weather clock. You can slide, you can have this option, which shows you the time, as well as 3 app icons or shortcuts, your pedometer underneath the clock. You can have your meetings or your calendar appointments appear, as well as a dual clock. Or you can just have a regular clock that just shows you the time. And then these watch faces. So plenty of selection, and there will probably be more of a selection coming down the line eventually. You can also set up an hourly alert if that's something that you want to do. The display option, you bring it up, and then you can change the brightness, the screen timeout, home background color. So let's go ahead and go with green, because why not? So if we go back again, as you can see, plenty of the same options, but all with a black or with a green background. So, and let's go ahead, we can also change it to, let's go ahead and change it to orange, so we can just have as much orange on here as humanly possible. Now you can change the font size as well to small, normal, and large. And you can swipe back again. And battery percentage can be included as well. So let's go ahead and go back. Now, as a notice, the battery right now, it's not charging. It's at 64%, okay? As a reference, it is currently 11:30 while I'm reviewing this, and I took it off the charger 12:30 2 days ago. So there's no doubt in my mind that the standby time on this watch is definitely not a bad thing. When I started to use it with my first and second day with the device, the battery didn't last very long. I think I got probably right around the 10-hour mark before it decided that it wanted to tell me to plug it in. And the reason for that being is, let's see if we can get it to work here. Now, I will bring up, okay, so let's go into the app settings on the phone, because that's where you're going to want to do the majority of your changes to the device anyway. So if we go into settings, you can see this content right here, smart relay, okay? To view content from your gear in detail on your mobile device, pick up the mobile device when you receive a notifications alert, okay? So we're going to go ahead and give that a shot. So we're going to, the screen's off and our Galaxy Gear screen is off. And we're going to go ahead and send a test message. Alright, so see, we have here, we got a message, okay? And the phone did light up, so let's go ahead and tap it. And we can see my message right there, pretty clear, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and the screen timeout's pretty quick though. So we're going to go ahead and show on device, okay? Boom. And just like that, we can go ahead and there is my text message that was just on the watch. Now the best part is Now that I've opened it, I can go back and this should work. Yep, no notifications. Okay, the message will be in the archive. Okay, so you can see that right there. But once you open the text message on your phone, the notification goes away on the watch. So it will set within the archives, but the notification is gone. So there's that. Now, the other benefit of having the Galaxy Gear is that Samsung was nice enough to include S Voice. So let's go ahead and look at that. Touch on S Voice and we'll say connecting. Text Evan Selick, hello.
Here is your message. Ready to send it?
Yes.
Sending message. Okay, I sent it.
And there we go. So, just like that, the device did everything from the watch. And that is just being able to not only get notifications on your watch, as well as to be able to interact to those things and be able to send messages with your voice and things like that is a nice bonus. The only thing, I'm a fan of watches. And the reason why I'm so into smartwatches is because of the technology that's inside them. Now, the only real bad part is that a watch should be able to tell you the time at all times, no matter what's going on. We've seen that with e-paper watches and things like that. Obviously, it's a color display, so Samsung made sure that the best way to preserve any kind of battery life was to shut the display off when you're not looking at it. Now, so obviously, it should be able to tell you the time when you want to see the time. That's the idea. It doesn't necessarily have to show you the time all the time, only when you want to look at it and know what time it is. So their answer to that is with a wake up gesture, which you can turn off in the settings. But to turn it, if you leave it on, you'll be able to bring it up like you normally would to look at it, and the screen will pop on, thanks to the accelerometer and gyroscope inside the device. It's a nice benefit, and I think for me in general, it is okay for not being able to show the time at all times. And like I said, the device's standby time is good, so they obviously chose the right way to do that. One of the last things we're going to show you now is this right here is the charging case. So basically you have to set the phone or set the watch inside this device, which obviously has these pins, and you'll be able to power it with the micro USB. So, and it obviously comes with all the essential equipment that you would need. So if we unclasp it and bring the device into the charging cradle and close it. Now, this is how it's supposed to sit. So if you're charging it, it should sit like this, but for whatever reason, the screen doesn't change. So you'd still be looking at it like this, but you're supposed to necessarily, because the charging port is up here, so you'd want to set it down like that. The screen doesn't change though, so if you want to know what time it is while it's charging, you're going to have to tilt your head or pick it up. The other slightly frustrating thing is that it only works with this device. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can get this thing to pair real quick. We'll go ahead and go into our Galaxy Gear Manager. We'll go into disconnect. Okay. Now see, it says it just popped up saying Bluetooth was disconnected. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect, okay? And then we're going to go into this. Well, we don't need to open the camera, obviously. We'll go into settings. And everything's getting notifications, visibility turned on, okay? So we're going to see how it says connect gear. We have to tap it to the back of this, but the band isn't interchangeable. So you gotta kind of hope that it works the first time, which I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that it didn't work for me the first time. So I had to like slide it in here, and then it said connecting to gear. So Bluetooth connected and connecting to gear, all that jazz. So it's working. Okay, so restore gear settings and previously backed up apps. So we can go ahead and restore. So if you decide that you're going to change gear, it's going to back that up and you'll be able to restore it. Now, not surprising, you have all sorts of end user license agreements that you will have to agree to. So you just go ahead, read carefully, I acknowledge, yes, no thanks, finish, etc., agree again, and there you go, you're back into the Galaxy Gear app. Now, the difference here is that you can go into My Apps, okay, and you can change the way some of these function, and these are just your favorites, okay, so, and you can do installed apps, and you can see all of that, or you can go back, and you can go into clocks. Now, this is probably the best way to choose a clock face, just because it, you know, it's easier just to do it on the bigger screen than it is on the smaller screen. And you can change it, and it happens instantaneously. So you have 11:45. Let's go into the analog. So boom, just like that, easy. Everything that you want to do in the Gear Manager app is very easy, and it's very quick, just as it should be. Syncing between the devices may, you know, that initial sync may not be the easiest, just because it doesn't have interchangeable bands, is not the easiest thing to do, but it's also not the hardest. The main kicker with the Galaxy Gear is that it is just an initial device. It's not meant to overlap the entire smartwatch market and destroy all of the competition. This is Samsung's slow and steady approach to taking over a market eventually. Just like we've seen in the smartphone market, they started with one device and then they expanded. We are probably going to see the same mentality with the Galaxy Gear. We're probably going to see different versions, different variants, different colors, and, you know, eventually probably interchangeable bands, or maybe not because of the camera inside the band, or maybe they just charge more for the band if you want another one. So there are different ways that Samsung is going to go about this. As an initial device, it's actually pretty remarkable how lightweight this is and how colorful the bands are. I mean, the orange is obviously very, very orange. The white and the black look really, really good too. So they feel really good on the wrist. They're not too heavy, and you don't have a problem using it as your watch. You know, so that's just basically what they were going for. This is a device that has plenty of technology inside of it that it almost would seem like it would be too bulky or too heavy to use. Samsung has made it so it's not. It has a big, bold face with, you know, a color display. So all of those work together to bring together the Galaxy Gear smartwatch, and they do it pretty well. The only probably negative is that the watch does cost $300. That's going to make it or break it for a lot of people right then and there. So even as an initial device, Samsung packed enough technology inside of it that, you know, charging $300 makes sense to them. However, for folks who just want to watch, or, you know, just a smartwatch in general, there are options out there that have been out longer that cost half in some cases. So Samsung is probably going to have to approach that eventually. And if they do ever include interchangeable bands, those are probably going to be expensive too, thanks to the technology that's in the bands. Like, we have the camera that's in the band as well as the microphone. So, and in my time with the device, I've taken calls on the watch, and it actually, you don't have to hold it up, you know, to your ear, like, you know, or your mouth like Dick Tracy. Unfortunately, it actually does do a pretty good job of going back and forth between audio and what your audio and what you can hear and what you're saying. So it is a nice balance. Of course, it's not a private conversation because your watch is going to be yelling at you while you're on the phone. So take that into account. But that is the Galaxy Gear in a nutshell. This is Samsung's, you know, jump into the smartwatch territory, and it's a pretty good first leap. We'll have to see what happens with the pricing in the next couple of months, especially with the holidays coming around, and how eventually the next version will shape up. So this is the orange Galaxy Gear smartwatch from Samsung, and this has been the full video review.